All right, so we're beginning chapter 9 from today, which is the most confidential knowledge. And we'll start from 9.1. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Idam tute guhyatamam pravakshyami anusuyave jnanam vijnana sahitam yajkyatva mokshashe shubhat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of miseries of material existence. So, confidentiality of knowledge in Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada talks about this in the purport. He says, what is confidential is the knowledge that Krishna gives in the second chapter, starting from second chapter and then third also, that I'm not this material body. I am a spirit soul. That is confidential. More confidential or guhyatara is knowledge of bhakti, which Krishna gives in 7th and 8th chapter. Recognize the difference between activities of the body and the spiritual activities. That, okay, now I understand I'm not this body, I'm soul. So what are the activities I should be doing? Understanding that I am at the level of the soul. Then Guhyatama is more confidential or most confidential, which is knowledge of Kevala Bhakti or pure devotional service. So this is what Krishna is going to reveal to Arjuna. He's saying that I'm going to reveal the most confidential knowledge to you. So Guhyatama is knowledge about Kevala or Shuddha Bhakti according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Baldev Vidyabhushan. According to Sridhar Swami, says knowledge about the Supreme Self. Prabhupada says this is knowledge which is unalloyed pure devotion service. Anyone situated on this platform is naturally transcendental, therefore has no material pangs. And we'll get into more detail about this aspect of how we can say that anybody on the path of devotional service has no material pangs. Then from Nectar of Devotion, one having a sincere desire to serve the Supreme Lord, although in material world, is considered liberated. So Anasuya way, Krishna says, you are non-envious of me. That's why I'm giving you this knowledge, which is and you devoted to me. So one who is devoted or who has devotion for Krishna, he rejoices when he gets to know more and more about Krishna's glories. But the one who's envious, he burns more and more out of envy that why is it that I'm not the enjoyer? Why is it that I'm not opulent? Why is it that I'm not the strongest like that? Getting to know more and more about Krishna's glories, he burns more and more in envy, and that's how he does more and more aparadh, so that the envious don't get into that precarious condition where they do more and more aparadh. Krishna says, I don't reveal my most confidential knowledge to them. Okay. Balakrishna Prabhu, you again raised your hand. Do you have a question or a comment?
No, Mataji, just it was by mistake. But I will tell
Okay.
for Ganvas, this Shishapal, Duryodhan, Hiranyakashipu are the examples.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank
And
you.
Jnana Vijnana, this Radhesham Prabhu says Jnana means the difference between matter and spirit, and Vijnana means difference between soul and super soul. Radhesham Prabhu
Oh,
says.
okay. Okay. Thank you for sharing that, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Krishna reveals his glories to the devotees. And here is Jnana and Vijnana, theoretical knowledge, and Vijnana is experiential, transformational realization of the sweetness of Krishna's glories, or like Balakrishna Prabhu just told us, spoken by Radhesham Prabhu, it's the difference between the soul and the super soul. Okay, so and knowing that difference between us and the Supreme Soul, then how do we come in connection in that bond of love with Him is the Vijnana, that realization. Okay, so Jnana Vijnana Sahitam, knowledge of pure bhakti that culminates in realization of Krishna. Yajgyatva mokshase shubhat, you will become free from all inauspicious which leads to misery. So if we surrender to Krishna, from that moment, you become free from all anxieties. So one might say that even while we're on the path of devotional service, we do experience miseries, right? Here and there are things that happen, we face challenges, and there is misery. So what Krishna really means is, according to our acharyas, that when you understand about matter and spirit first, and then about Krishna, and then about relationship to Krishna, and then we start on the path of devotional service, then we stop doing those activities that will lead us to misery. So the misery that we are going through right now is from the previous whatever acts that we've done in our previous lifetimes or this lifetime. It can also be that Krishna, although there is no reaction that a devotee has to face, but Krishna, because of wanting for us to surrender more and more completely, then those miseries do come in our path. But those are just mercy of Krishna or blessing of Krishna so that we can take the path more seriously and come closer and closer to Krishna. Okay, so here is jnana also. It could be, if you take the example of a person who's diseased, has gone to the hospital. So the doctor gives some diagnosis. Okay, this is the problem after hearing all your, symptoms that you're sharing, also going through all the tests that we've performed on you. This is the diagnosis that you have this ailment. Then is vijnana, which is the prescription. If you take this medicine, then you will get completely free from this ailment, which is moksha se shubhat, free from all inauspiciousness that leads to misery. Let's have somebody read this. Prabhupada talks about this in the purport.
Knowledge, idam jnanam, refers to pure devotional service, which consists of 9 different activities: hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, worshipping, praying, obeying, maintaining friendship, and surrendering everything. By the practice of these 9 elements of devotional service, one is elevated to spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness. Bhagavad Gita 9.1 purport.
This
Hare Krishna.
comes in the purport. Prabhupada talks about what is idam jnanam, or this knowledge that Krishna is revealing. It's the pure devotional service, which are the 9 processes of devotional service given by Prahlad Maharaj in the Bhagavatam. So this is what Prabhupada says is jnanam that Krishna is going to give to us, which is basically what is the activity that the soul should do in connection with Krishna to rekindle that bond of love. Okay, so we come to the second verse. Let's read a little bit more. The first verse purport. The last 2 paragraphs. If somebody can open their Bhagavad Gita and read the last 2 paragraphs starting from in the 7th chapter.
In the 7th chapter, we have already discussed the opulent potency of Supreme Personality of Godhead, his different energies, the inferior and superior natures, and all this material manifestation. Now in chapter 9, the glories of the Lord will be delineated. The Sanskrit word Anusuyave in this verse is also very significant. Generally, the commentators, even if they are highly scholarly or all envious of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even the most erudite scholars write on Bhagavad Gita very inaccurately because they are envious of Krishna. Their commentaries are useless. The commentaries given by devotees of the Lord are bona fide. No one can explain Bhagavad Gita or give perfect knowledge of Krishna if he is envious. One who criticizes the character of Krishna without knowing him is a fool. So such commentaries should be very carefully avoided. For one who understands that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the pure and transcendental personality, this chapter will be very beneficial. Hare Krishna.
And Hare Krishna, Mataji. So this is the reason Prabhupada used to say not to hear from commentators who are not devotees of Krishna in the line of disciplic succession, right? Sometimes we feel that, okay, fine, it's okay to hear from anybody who's speaking about Krishna, but it is very important not to hear from such commentators or, the ones who are just giving some katha. We have to understand if they're not in the parampara, or any proper parampara, to hear from them is very dangerous because they have their concocted commentaries which are useless. Okay. Next verse, 9.2, and this is also one of the verses that we'll try to memorize. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratakshaavagamam Dharmyam Susukham Kartum Avyayam. Let's have somebody read the translation.
This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So let's look at each aspect of this verse, each line actually. We'll see how Krishna has given 8 characteristics of the knowledge of pure bhakti. This could be one of the questions that will come in homework and exam also. So 8 characteristics of the knowledge of pure bhakti, starting from the first one, which is Rajavidya, which is the king or essence of all education, all philosophies. Rajaguyam is the king of all secrets, eternal activities of the soul. Pavitramidam, it's the purest of all, purifies one of all contamination. Uttamam, transcendental to the darkness or ignorance of this world. Pratakshaavagamam gives direct experience of the self by realization. Dharmyam, perfection of religion, service to the Supreme Lord. Susukham kartum, easily and joyfully performed. Avyayam, everlasting, eternal, indestructible, beyond the moods. So let's look at each one of them and we'll get into more detail about each one of them. So Rajavidya, there can be 2 meanings according to Acharyas. Rajavidya could be the knowledge of the kings and the king of knowledge. So let's look at both the meanings. Okay. So here too Krishna, according to Prabhupada, he says that here too Krishna is speaking about the glory of this knowledge. The first and second verse, both of them, speaks about the glory of the knowledge that is not exactly the knowledge that Krishna is giving right now, right? He's just talking about the glory of the knowledge. Okay. So Raj Vidya. First aspect we see is the knowledge of the kings. So the kings actually, the Kshatriyas are supposed to be guided by the Brahmanas, right? The Brahmanas have all the knowledge and how to rule the kingdom, the different aspects of ruling the kingdom. All the knowledge should be given to that king from the Brahmana. Because if it isn't, like the politicians of this age, Kali Yuga, because they're not guided by such spiritual knowledge from any Brahmana, they're just doing whimsically whatever they think is right. And that's why there's so much misery in all of the states and countries in this world. But if a king or a Kshatriya is guided by a Brahmana who has knowledge of the scriptures, complete knowledge, and that's how he's guided, then that kingdom will flourish just like Yudhishthir Maharaj was guided. That's how the kingdom was flourishing. So if the king has the knowledge, then he can influence the world, and being inspired by this knowledge, they will set up system by which the knowledge can be shared with others also. Unless the king realizes the importance of the spiritual knowledge, he will not make sure that others also get it, right? If we understand that something is very important, then we as parents, just for an example, we want to guide our children also in that direction, give them the knowledge too. So similarly, the king, who is supposed to be the father of all citizens, if he understands the knowledge, spiritual knowledge, then he, being influenced positively by that knowledge, also would want to share it with everyone. So the king will make sure that there are systems in his kingdom where this knowledge can be distributed to everyone and shared with everyone. So that's how it is the knowledge of the kings, which is Raj Vidya. And then second aspect is of Raj Vidya is the king of knowledge. So this knowledge itself is the king of all knowledge. It is the most confidential because confidential or transcendental knowledge involves understanding the difference between the soul and the body. And the king of all confidential knowledge culminates in devotional service. Again, if we go back to the understanding that how people are in the so much in bodily consciousness only. They don't even get into the consciousness that there is a soul and something can be done to realize the soul, let alone the activities which we can do in connection with the Supreme Soul. So that is most confidential. So first is getting to know about the soul, which is confidential, then getting to even one who understands there is a soul, then they can get into the impersonal aspect also. So here, Krishna is giving the most confidential knowledge in connection with the Supreme Soul, of which there is that conception of Supreme Soul is also very, very rare. People get into in spiritual life, they get into the impersonal aspect so much. So this is supreme or the king of all knowledge because it gives the knowledge about the soul and the Supreme Soul and the connection and the activities that can be done. So it culminates in devotional service. Then next is Raj Guhyam. So first is Raj Vidya, how it's the king of all knowledge and the knowledge of the kings, right? Any question regarding that? The first. Okay, next one is Raj Guhyam. It's the king of all secrets. So Guhya is most secretive. And Raj Guhyam is the king of all secrets. So after getting the knowledge about the soul, one who gets the knowledge about the Supreme Soul also and the activities that connect both in the bond of love, then that knowledge can bring eternal ecstasy to both. So Krishna is supremely satisfied. But more and more souls that connect with that bond of love with Krishna, it also gives ecstasy to Krishna. So this is how it is the king of all the secrets. So the king amongst all confidential knowledge, soul being eternal, is always active, and its activities in the spiritual kingdom are the most confidential part of the spiritual knowledge. Some people believe that after one leaves this body, the soul becomes, even if there is soul, so many people believe there is no soul, but the ones who do believe there is soul, they feel that the soul becomes inactive and goes back in that impersonal aspect or that peaceful stage where there is no activity. So that is beyond that. There is supreme activity of the soul in connection with the Supreme Soul, where in the spiritual world, it's always active, right? Prabhupada says in the purport, let's look at the purport. He talks about all of these aspects one at a time. So he says for this Raj Guhya, he says, from the second chapter onwards, Bhagavad Gita stresses the importance of the soul. In the very beginning, the Lord says that this body is perishable and the soul is not perishable. Antavanta ime deha nitya syuktaha sharirinaha. There is a confidential part of the knowledge, simply knowing that the spirit soul is different from the body and that its nature is immutable, indestructible, and eternal. But that gives no positive information about the soul. Sometimes people are under the impression that the soul is different from the body and that when the body is finished or one is liberated from the body, the soul remains in a void and becomes impersonal. But actually, that is not the fact. How can the soul, which is so active within the body, be inactive after being liberated from the body? It is always active. If it is eternal, then it is eternally active, and its activities in the spiritual kingdom are the most confidential part of the spiritual knowledge. These activities of the spirit soul are therefore indicated here as constituting the king of all knowledge, the most confidential part of all knowledge. Yeah, any questions on this aspect, second aspect, Rajaguyam? No? Okay, so we move on. So here is the focus in chapter 3 to 6 is on the soul, how to get Atma Gyan, to realize the Atma. Then chapter 7 onwards, Krishna becomes the focus, how there is a supreme soul also. Chapter 8, how Krishna should be made the focus. Then chapter 9 onwards, Krishna becomes the supreme focus and devotional path becomes the focus entirely. So that's how it is, Rajaguyam. It's the king of all secrets. Next aspect is Pavitram Idam. It is supremely purifying. This knowledge is the purest form of all activities as explained in the Vedic literature. So now Prabhupada gives example, or he quotes from the Padma Puran. He says, man's sinful activities have been analyzed and are shown to be the result of sin after sin. So he's quoting from Padma Puran how activities of a man are analyzed. Those who are engaged in fruitive activities are entangled in different stages and forms of sinful reactions. So he talks about, we'll go back to that slide. So every action is sowing a seed and producing a reaction. We all know that, right? Whatever action one does, it is sowing a seed and then producing a reaction. Every single action, even when we speak bad words about somebody, it is sowing a seed and it will give a reaction. Let's see how. So every action is sowing a seed, producing a reaction. How? Like when we sow a seed, that stage is called aprarabdha because it hasn't fructified yet. We've done this before, right? It hasn't fructified yet. So, and what is prarabdha? It has fructified. So our reaction can be in a dormant stage which is aprarabdha, the reaction is still to come, and prarabdha, the reaction has come. So going in more detail, there is kutam, the propensity to do something, whether it's good or bad. The propensity is called that kutam, or that really tiny seed which hasn't yet held a ground on the soil, in the soil. That is kutam. Then it becomes bijam. It becomes a seed where it holds on to the soil, right? And then it becomes Phalonmukham, where the reaction has come. And when the action is done, and the reaction will come. So Padma Puran, this verse comes, Aprarabdha phalam papam, kutam bijam phalonmukham, ramenaiva praliyate Vishnu bhakti ratatmanam. So let's have somebody read the translation here.
For those who are engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all sinful reactions, whether fructified in the stalk or in the form of a seed, gradually vanish. Therefore, the purifying potency of devotional service is very strong, and it is called Pavitram Uttamam, the purest. Uttamam means transcendental. Tamas means the material world or darkness, and Uttamam means that which is transcendental to the material activities. Hare Krishna.
So all of these sinful reactions, whether bijam, kutan, phalonmukham, all of them are rooted out, meaning they are burned if a person engages in devotional service. As compared to from the Vedas, if somebody, for rectifying, right? some reaction is going to come, like we go to astrologers, astrologer will tell us, okay, according to your chart, something bad is going to happen. Let's do this. Let's get this puja done, or let's put this, monga or whatever, this pukhraj ring on you, and it'll take care of whatever reaction is coming. It'll subside it to a very great degree. So all that can happen, but then the seed or the desire to do the sinful activity is not taken care of. The reaction might get taken care of, but then because the seed is still there, people still want to act in ways which are detrimental. Then that, because the seed is not burnt, they again do sinful activities, again the reaction will come. They can take care of the reaction, but then again they'll do it. So what takes care of the root of, or the seed or the bijam, where they don't want to do those activities anymore, is devotional service. That's why it is called Pavitram Uttamam. It takes care of everything, also the desire to do sinful activities. And let's go back to the slide that we missed. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says it acts as atonement for all sins. It is even more purifying than knowledge of the soul. According to Madhusudan Saraswati, since it immediately uproots all the sinful reactions spread over many thousands of lifetimes, which are situated in the gross and subtle bodies, and as well uproots the cause of all sins, ignorance. It is called the most purifying of all things, of all the knowledge. Okay, so let's come to where we were. So Uttamam is transcendental to the darkness of ignorance of this world, and Tama, we know what Tama is, the darkness. So Uttama is going beyond the darkness of this world. The next one is Pratyakshavagamam, gives direct experience of the self by realization. And here Prabhupada gives the example of Narad Muni, his spiritual transformation. So let's look at the purport and we'll read it a little bit from the verse where it says, it is said that one, can somebody read it? Oh no, in the Vedanta. Okay, let me read the one before and then we'll continue. It is said that the execution of devotional service is so perfect that one can perceive the results directly. So this is Pratyaksha Avagamam. One can perceive the results directly. The direct result is actually perceived, and we have practical experience that any person who is chanting the holy names of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, in course of chanting without offenses, feels some transcendental pleasure and very quickly becomes purified of all material contamination. This is actually seen. We'll take a pause here and talk about how one can chant without any offenses. Who can answer this? In our sadhana, we should do it every day, every morning, before we start chanting the Hare Krishna mantra on our beads. We should read the list of
10 offenses.
10 offenses. Wonderful. So let's open those 10 offenses and we'll read them for the ones who don't know about these. Let's open them, or if you've memorized them. 10 offenses to the holy name. Okay, so Prabhupada said that if we want to take complete benefit of chanting the holy name, meaning we want to chant in the purest form where we are not doing any offenses also, we should recite all these 10 points before we start chanting, and we should take care that we stay away from these offenses. First one, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. for the ones who have left everything in this world, although they have to maintain their body, right? So they are doing some kind of work here and there, but mainly they have dedicated their life in propagating the holy names of the Lord. We shouldn't blaspheme them. If you blaspheme them, it is an offense, and that goes against your chanting. When we're chanting, it is with offense, then that will not give the purest result. So first one, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Second, to consider the names of the demigods like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Third, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. So spiritual master, what are his orders? Mainly, he has spoken about his instructions in his lectures. We should hear his lectures very, very carefully. Those are the instructions to all of us, and we should follow them. Basically, he also tells us to follow the 4 regulative principles and chant the 16 malas every day. So that is also his order. We have to obey those orders. Fourth one, to blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance of the Vedic version. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. 8, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities or karma kand. 9th, to instruct a faithless person about the glory of the holy name. And 10, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. And then it is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. If we are going on our phone, if we're watching TV, if we're driving or paying attention to other things, that is also an offense to the holy name. So we have to take care and keep away from these 10 offenses. And that every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success, which is Krishna Prema. So if we want to achieve Krishna Prema in this lifetime, when we're chanting, we should be careful not to commit these offenses or stay away from these 10 offenses. So, Pratyakshabhagamam, that which is directly experienced, sensory perception, but more of experience of the heart, which gives purification and satisfaction and pleasure. So Pratyaksha means sensory perception, Anuman is mental contemplation, and Shabda is scriptural revelation, which is most authoritative. Because we might, while chanting or even while doing devotional service, our mind can be so deceptive. It can bring out some experience which is not exactly in line with the spiritual culture, and we might feel, oh, this is spiritual realization that I'm getting. So the mind can be deceptive. But what is Shabda? Scriptural revelation, which is most authoritative. We have to go by the scriptures. Okay. Then next one is Dharmyam, perfection of religion, which is service to the Supreme Lord. Let's look at this. The word Dharmyam means the path of religion. Okay, before that, we wanted to see how Prabhupada brought the story of Narad Muni in connection with Pratyakshabhagamam. So he says in the Vedanta Sutra, there is also described in the following words, Pratyakshascha karmani abhyasat. Devotional service is so potent that simply by engaging in the activities of devotional service, one becomes enlightened without a doubt. A practical example of this can be seen in the previous life of Narada, who in that life happened to be the son of a maidservant. He had no education, nor was he born into a high family. But when his mother was engaged in serving great devotees, Narada also became engaged, and sometimes in the absence of his mother, he would serve the great devotees himself. Narada personally says, and that's the verse, in this verse, Srimad Bhagavatam, from Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada describes his previous life to his disciple Vyasadeva. He says that while engaged as a boy servant for those purified devotees during the 4 months of their stay, he was intimately associating with them. Sometimes those sages left remnants of food on their dishes, and the boy who would wash their dishes wanted to taste the remnants. So he asked the great devotees for their permission, and when they gave it, Narada ate those remnants and consequently became freed from all sinful reactions. As he went on eating, he gradually became as pure-hearted as the sages. The great devotees relished the taste of unceasing devotional service to the Lord by hearing and chanting, and Narada gradually developed the same taste. Narada says, further, by associating with the sages, Narada got the taste from hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, and he developed a great desire for devotional service. Therefore, as described in the Vedanta Sutra, Pratyakshasha cha karmani abhyasat. If one is engaged simply in the acts of devotional service, everything is revealed to him automatically, and he can understand. This is called pratyaksha, or directly perceived. And then next, the word dharma means the path of religion. Narada was actually a son of a maidservant. He had no opportunity to go to school. He was simply assisting his mother, and fortunately, his mother rendered some service to the devotees. The child, Narada, also got the opportunity, and simply by association, achieved the highest goal of all religion. The highest goal of all religion is devotional service, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhaktiradhokshaje. Religious people generally do not know that the highest perfection of religion is the attainment of devotional service. As we've already discussed in regard to the last verse of chapter 8, Vedeshu Yagneshu Tapasu Chaiva. Generally, Vedic knowledge is required for self-realization, but here, although Narada never went to school of spiritual master and was not educated in Vedic principles, he acquired the highest result of Vedic study. This process is so potent that even without performing the religious process regularly, one can be raised to the highest perfection. And so did all the hippies when Prabhupada came to the West, right? None of them knew even who Krishna was. Most of them, I'll say 99.99% didn't know who Krishna was, and let alone going to, studying about spiritual knowledge. They never ever got into, what is a soul, what is, how is it different than the body. But such people also they got qualified to chant the holy names, right? That verse from the Bhagavatam, Ahobata Swachapato Sagariyan Yahjivagre Vartate Nama Tubhyam. So your name, O Lord, the holy name of the Lord, even if it comes at the tip of the tongue, that means that all devotion, going to the dhams and dipping in the holy rivers, all the Vedic sacrifices, everything has been already performed in our previous lives for that person who is chanting the holy names of the Lord. So this is dharmyam, or perfection of religion, which is service to the Supreme Lord. These hippies, when they became devotees, they did ask Prabhupada, we had no qualification to know about, or let alone, come to devotional life. Then how did we get this most perfect knowledge? And Prabhupada said, you had no qualification, I made your qualification. So this is dharmyam, which is the ultimate perfection of all religions. Susukham kartum, it is easily and joyfully performed. Chapter 6, when Krishna spoke about Dhyan Yoga, at that time, Arjun said, "This is so impractical. I don't think I can do this." And Krishna said that, yes, this is very, very difficult. But here, Krishna is saying it is susukham kartum, it is easily and joyfully performed. Let's see what Prabhupada says about this aspect. The process of devotional service is very happy one. Susukham, why? Devotional service consists of Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. So one can simply hear the chanting of the glories of the Lord, or can attend philosophical lectures on transcendental knowledge given by authorized acharyas. Simply by sitting, one can learn. Then one can eat the remnants of the food offered to God. Nice palatable dishes. In every state, devotional service is joyful. One person asked Prabhupada, after you leave your body and then you realize there is no Krishna, then what will happen? Wouldn't it'll be like a waste of life? All moments of your life, you've just, talked about Krishna, done devotional service to him, offered bhoga to him, done arti to him. Wouldn't it be all a waste when you realize there is no Krishna? And Prabhupada thought for a moment and then he said, okay, what you're saying may be correct, but what if when you die and you realize there is Krishna? Then how your life is totally wasted, right? And then he says, Prabhupada said, still, I would say that our life was successful because we didn't harm anybody. We led a life of such great happiness where we danced and we chanted and we had such delicious prasadam. Even if there is no Krishna, we led a life of such purity. So this is, Prabhupada says, this gives susukham. Krishna says, and Prabhupada elaborates on it. One can execute devotional service even in the most poverty-stricken condition. The Lord says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam. He's ready to accept from the devotee any kind of offering, never mind what, even a leaf, a flower, a bit of fruit, or a little water, which are all available in every part of the world, can be offered by any person regardless of social position and will be accepted if offered with love. So like that. Therefore, devotional process is very nice and it can be executed in a happy mood. God accepts only the love with which things are offered to him. So Susukham Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, easy to execute, unlike karma, jnana, or dhyana, etc. There are no extreme pains to the body, voice, or mind by renunciation of the senses, since bhakti makes use of ears and other senses as principal elements in hearing, chanting, and other processes. So all the senses are engaged and they are supremely satisfied in connection with devotional service. Prabhupada says in the purport, let's have somebody read this.
It is said that
It is said that the execution of devotional service is so perfect that one can pursue the results directly. This direct result is actually pursued, and we have a practical experience that any person who is chanting the holy names of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, in course of time feels some transcendental pressure and very quickly becomes purified of all material contamination. This is actually seen. Bhagavad Gita 9.2, purport Srila Prabhupada.
And we all can vouch for this, right? It is susukham and it brings complete satisfaction and pleasure to the heart. Okay. We'll watch this small video chanting Hare Krishna mantra and being happy.
Opioid addiction gets between you and what you love. Once monthly Sublocade.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Ram. Oh, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
All right, there's another one. This one, we might have seen this before, how people also get happy when they chant names of Gaur Nitai.
Can you say Gauranga?
Gauranga.
Excuse me, miss. Can you say Gauranga? Gauranga. Can you say Gauranga? Can you say Gauranga? Gauranga. Gauranga. Hey brother, can you say Gauranga? Gauranga. One more time. Can you guys say Gauranga?
Gauranga.
Gauranga. Can you say Gauranga? Can you say Gauranga? Gauranga. How about give peace a
Right.
chance? There you go. Go Ranga. Go Ranga. Can you guys say go Ranga? Go Ranga.
For those people who don't even know who Gauranga is and might not ever get to know, but they're these, devotees who are chanting and so blissfully on the streets, they're having such people chant the holy names of Gauranga. Such, you have to have that compassion in your heart yourself, experience. Visheshka Maharaj always says, when you experience and your own cup is full of that love, then only it spills out and, it's offered to others. So this is what these devotees are doing. Their own cups are so full of that love and they're spreading it wherever they're going. So such amazing compassion. And then last one is Avyayam, everlasting, eternal, indestructible, beyond the modes. It is said that it is said here that this devotional service is eternally existing. It is not as the Mayavadi philosophers claim, although they sometimes take to so-called devotional service. Their idea is that as long as they are not liberated, they will continue their devotional service. But at the end, when they become liberated, they will become one with the God. With God. Such temporary, time-serving devotional service is not accepted as pure devotional service. Actual devotional service continues even after liberation. When the devotee goes to the spiritual planet in the kingdom of God, he is also engaged there in serving the Supreme Lord. He does not try to become one with the Supreme Lord. So, let's look at Avyayam in little more detail. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, beyond the gunas and like karma, jnana, etc., which are temporary. Ramanujasacharya says, it does not perish. And Prabhupada says, it is eternally existing. And we just read this from the purport. Okay, actually, Prabhupada says devotional service begins after liberation. So, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, na shochati na kamshasi. Okay, let's stop the presentation here. Any comments, anything that you would like to share, or any reflections, any questions? Yes, Kamlavati Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
So I have a question about the 10 offenses. We are not supposed to chant when we are distracted. And so you mentioned like not driving. But what if there is a situation like there's a loved one who's very ill and you're so busy that you cannot sit down in front of your altar and do your normal jap? Is it then better to like chant when you're driving here and there and chanting when you're trying to serve that person, or then not to do japa at all, would you say? Or what is the solution?
According to our acharyas, it is best to chant where you can be attentive. That is what chanting is. Some people see you personalized. If you're taking care of a loved one throughout the day, there might be some times when that person is sleeping, right? Utilize that time in sitting and chanting. It is best to chant without being inattentive. So that is the best way to chant, and that is how we should be chanting. Some people say, okay, I've finished my rounds. my 16 rounds are done and I'm doing extra rounds so I can chant while driving or even, talking to someone, I'm chanting because these are my extra rounds. Our acharyas tell us not to do that also because it is offensive to the holy name to be inattentive while chanting. Even if these are your extra rounds, it is better if you have time in that extra time, instead of doing japa, if you cannot do attentively, even if it's extra, you cannot do attentively, then you can do bhajan or you can sing the holy name like in kirtan. So that is the best way, even if you want to do extra rounds. But to do your 16 rounds, it is recommended that you be attentive. So the best time is early morning, Brahma Muhurat, when your loved ones are also resting, and that is a time that you can focus and dedicate to Krishna. So maybe 1.5 hours before the sun rises, if you can get up, take a nap in between, because that time there's nobody who will disturb you, not even your mind, because your mind can take you here and there. Now this work needs to be done. Now food needs to be taken care of for my, loved one. Also, all these activities start with the sunrise, right? But before that, you can dedicate that time. Okay, I can focus, and now this is time for me and Krishna alone. This is my alone time with Krishna. That is the best way to be chanting. Otherwise, yes, it does become offensive. I'm also still working. I also try to, start my or finish my rounds in the morning. But there are days where it doesn't happen. Then we have to search and take out the time and chant where we can be attentive and not get distracted here and there. That is the way to chant.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you.
To quickly attain Krishna Prema. So yes, you can chant the way you think. You can spare time and here and there while driving or whatever. You can finish your rounds, but that will not result in what is desired, which is Krishna Prema. All right. Any other questions or reflections, or if you want to add to this answer?
No, about this.
Sanjana Mataji, we're really missing you. When are you coming back?
Haribol Mataji, I'm missing you guys more. I can't tell you how much I miss the association.
You will connect offline. So
Praying to, yes, praying to Krishna and Panchatattva, it's with their mercy that it will happen. That's exactly what I was gonna ask as a question. Like when we talk about our efforts in the process of something versus learning to surrender, how do we draw the balance, or how do we know how to go about it? Like trying to be persistent on something or making something work versus knowing that okay, Krishna has a better plan and it'll happen when it has to happen.
well, if we are trying to surrender to Krishna, we'll also would want to have complete faith that what he's doing is best for me. So if this is the state where he wants me to be, how can I surrender myself completely in this state? So whichever state that we are in and Krishna has put us, although we try our best to work things out, but if it is not working out the way I think, although I'm putting in my complete effort, there must be some plan of Krishna. And what is that plan? Krishna's only plan is that we come closer to him. So how can I surrender completely in this moment, in this condition, is how we can take it. And that's what I can say.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you. Mohini Preeti Mataji, you were going to say something.
Yeah, about this Nagar Sankirtan, no? That blissfulness, because what you said exactly, unless you are full within yourself, then only it will, what we call it, chalakna. It will pour out. I had one experience while I was in London, not this time, but the previous time. I used to go regularly to Soho Temple because I had a direct train for that. So I used to go around 11ish and be there 6:30, do some seva and go for Nagar Sankirtan also. Once I was going with the Nagar Sankirtan and that party, I don't know what they had, anxiety, because I was not seeing their face. And while they were going across the different lanes, regular lanes, and maybe they had anxiety on their faces. They were not smiling, but they were doing kirtan. But one shopkeeper came out. He said, "Where is the smile today?" I mean, they are also used to that blissfulness. They're used to see the blissfulness of the devotees who do Sankirtan, and this particular say Auranga. I have seen it lots, and people go mad in that road, that Soho road. Only on this Gauranga and Nityananda, Gauranga and Nityananda, and they start dancing. So how, when you show that blissfulness, people get used to that blissfulness. They want to see you again and again. And that shopkeeper came out and said, "Where is the smile?"
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Mataji. Yeah, it is very, when people see how devotees are happy in any condition they're happy, then they also want to know, what is it that is making them happy, and then they're more intrigued and they want to also, follow the path. So that is one way we can share our experience just by our, the way our lookout and our sense of, showing how blissful and how happy we are in devotional service. Okay, wonderful. All right, then we'll meet again if there's no more
Mataji.
questions. Yes,
Hare Krishna,
please.
Mataji. Regarding chanting, I have shared one this thing in this Bhakti Shastri. Last week we had one session regarding chanting. So chant, C-H-A-N. Everybody can go through it. I have shared it just now.
Okay.
How to chant. It is very, very good, very fascinating.
Please share. Yes.
Gaurang.
All right, then we'll meet again next Saturday, and we'll
So today we did
continue
only
from.
2 slokas. Wonderful.
We did 2, but yeah, it was
Wonderful,
very deep,
wonderful.
right? So many aspects we
Wonderful.
had to.
So very good.
All right, we'll
Thank you,
continue
Mataji.
from 9.4 in our next class.
Sure.
We'll move faster.
No
Hare
need,
Krishna.
no need.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Good Lord.